Thanks to those joining me live and to those that'll be joining me and the rest of the panel here on Archive. Shout out to those listening on the Leave It in the Ring network, whether it's iHeart, Pandora, or Apple Podcasts. Give us those 5 stars on Apple. For you iPhone users, I have an Android, but that's all right. All right. Hit the like button. Make sure you bring up those likes. Shout out to Chicano Prophet in the chat, Run PMC, No Paul Boxianos, LTJC. We're been joined by, of course, myself, Chief Funky, second half of HCP. Joe Habib for Ringside Reporter, Kenny Carway joining us here from ESPN Sacramento, and Sasha Jones all the way from the UK at 1 in the morning over there in the future somewhere. All right, joining us as well. You can catch some of her interviews on Women Fight News. What's going on, everybody? We're going to go ahead and get this started with the conversation about the welterweights. All right, every week we go over our best, favorite, the dark horse, and the best fight that could be made at the weight class. Let's go ahead and get started here with who is your best and favorite welterweight in the division. Chief Funky, talk to us. Who is the best and your favorite welterweight right now?
Well, in my opinion, it would be Terrence Crawford. I've always liked Crawford. He's just a fun guy to watch, man. He doesn't mind mixing it up, but he can also box your ears off at the same time, If he wants to stay on the outside and wipe you out for 12 rounds, he could do that. He can get in there and mix it up with you, and he's not afraid to do that either. So that's a plus for me. And plus, the main thing that I really love about Crawford is that he's a switch hitter. He can go orthodox, he can go southpaw, and he's got good power, man. He showed good power all through his career, all the divisions he's ever been in. And former undisputed champion, which I'm a big fan of. So for me, Terrence Crawford.
Joe Habib, same question to you, man. Your favorite and the best.
I hate to be a copycat, but I'm going to have to agree with G Funky. Spence, I've always been a huge fan of Spence, but I think what separates Crawford from him is I think Crawford is always in shape. I think he eats, sleeps, drinks, and breathes the sport of boxing. I think Spence doesn't have that same mentality. We've seen Spence balloon up in weight. We've seen Spence, at fights as a spectator, kind of tipsy. We've seen him heavy. Crawford, every time you see him, he looks like he's ready to fight right then and there. And G Funky said a lot of things that I agree with. He's switch hitter, but not only that, he's got a killer instinct. He's got a lot of dog in him. So he's not just talented. He's got the mentality. He reminds me of like how Leonard was. Leonard was that flashy guy, but when he hurts you, he know how to go in for the kill and finish you off. I think Crawford's the same way. So when Crawford's in that ring, once he smells blood, it's over. He can take you out of there. And I think that's what separates him from Errol Spence. Errol Spence, to me, it seems like he's not the same Spence. We've seen him against Porter. We've seen him against Garcia. There just seems to be a little bit something missing from him. It doesn't seem like that Spence that fought Kell Brook. So I just think that Crawford right now is the man in the division.
All right, Kenny, making your debut on the round table. Talk to us, man. Who is your favorite welterweight and who is the best welterweight?
Well, G Funky, Joe. I mean, everything that you guys said about Terrence Crawford, I agree with. I love Terrence Crawford. I think he's a great fighter, but he's not my favorite, and he's not the best. Errol Spence is the best fighter in the division. He is my favorite as well. And G Funky, D-Style, we talked about this last time I talked to you. I think Errol Spence is the best fighter in the world. And that's no shade to Canelo or anything like that. I think Errol Spence, pound for pound, is the best fighter in the world. Joe, I understand some of the things that you talked about when, he lost his way a little bit, in between fights. He ballooned up, he had a drinking problem, or allegedly, or whatever the case may be. I understand that, but it seems like since that accident, he seems to kind of found a second life and taking the sport a little more serious, taking his life a little more seriously. And against Danny Garcia, he dominated that fight from the opening bell. And Danny Garcia is not an undefeated fighter or whatever, but he's no slouch, and I've never seen him dominated the way he was in that fight. And I just think, it's not even a knock on Terrence to say that Errol is better, because I think Terrence is a phenomenal fighter. I love watching him fight. I just think it if they ever went head to head, and if anybody went head to head against Errol Spence right now, I think he'd be too much for him.
Okay. All right. Sasha Jones, welcome. Making your debut to the round table. Who is your favorite welterweight and who is the best, in your opinion?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Spence as well. Yeah, for me, I just think we haven't seen the best of him recently. But, you know, if we could go back maybe to the Kell Brook day, and, you know, he wasn't afraid to come to Sheffield and fight in Brook's backyard. You know, like's just been said, I think since his accident, yeah, maybe he's kind of found his way a little bit more. But, I mean, I wouldn't say he's the best in the world for me. But in that division, yeah, for me, he's definitely the best. And I think he beats Crawford as well any day.
Okay. All right. Okay. First of all, my favorite welterweight right now, as far as my favorite, is Manny Pacquiao. That's my favorite welterweight right now. Okay. I have a lot of respect for Manny. We'll talk about him a little later today, but I think he is, you know, he's brought a lot to the sport, and whenever he fights, I'm never disappointed, you know. So I got to go with Manny. As far as the best, that's Bud Crawford, man. That's the best, you know. I mean, we're talking about, you know, Nebraska stand up, you know, but you know, I just think he's the best, man. I think he's his IQ as far as a boxer is up there, you know, and you know, above, and no offense to any other fighter, he's the smartest fighter at welterweight, and probably pound for pound. The way he's set up that beautiful modified right hand with his lead hand against Kell Brook, you know, from that blinding eye, you know, direction that is, because what he did was, as they were boxing, Kell Brook, it's a no-no to stick your elbow out like this, you know, because you don't do that before throwing a punch, you know. But to set it up that way, knowing that Kell Brook was blocking his vision from this end, knowing he's not going to do that, and set up that beautiful right hand. It was a right hand with his lead hand. It was beautifully set up. And not only that, the way he figures out his opponents, and you will never see Crawford fight the same way twice, because he will adapt to his opponent in every single fight. And I've never seen anyone who, after 4 rounds, was really in the fight with Crawford. After 4 rounds, he has you figured out. And if he were to get in a fight with Errol Spence, he will figure him out, and he will beat him.
Right? That. Let me ask you guys a question. Everybody, me and Sasha, we on the right side. So, Sasha, I got you right here. I got you. Let me ask you three a question real quick about this. Terrence Crawford is moved up into the 147 division. Errol Spence is probably on his way out. So he's more of the natural 147. Terrence moved up into his division. I think their skill set is relatively the same. Errol seems to be naturally the bigger guy. Why do you guys think that Terrence has enough to beat probably the bigger, stronger guy in Errol Spence?
I don't think he's the bigger, stronger guy. I really don't. I think the size is comparable. And I think you can make an argument that maybe Terrence Crawford may be a little bit physically stronger than Spence. If you see how he kind of fights physical on the inside with guys, he has a wrestling background as well. So I think when he wraps you up and gets you in a clinch, I think he can contain you better. Spence, I just think sometimes he gets a little complacent in there. You know, like in the Mikey Garcia fight, he kind of was in cruise control. I think if that was Crawford, I think Crawford would have took him out. I just think Crawford would have took him out because Crawford would have switched up. He would have gave Garcia a different look that Spence wouldn't have been able to give him. You know, and I just think that right now Crawford is hungrier than Spence. It seems to be, in my opinion. You know, Spence. I don't think you can just snap your fingers and all of a sudden some of those problems that Spence has will go away overnight. I think there's going to be some residual effect from that. And as you said, he's growing out of division. So he's probably struggling to make the weight where Crawford makes the weight in his sleep. You know, he could probably eat 3 meals a day of the weigh-in and make the weight, where Spence is kind of starving himself to make the weight. And then if he moves up to 154, I'm not so sure he's big enough to deal with those 154 pounders. Those guys are like 5'11", 6 feet. Some of those guys up there, all and long.
Yeah, the Jared Hurds of the world. Those
Yeah.
are big guys, man.
As much as I like Spence, I'm just seeing him go the other way a little bit, and I think that Crawford's still peaking.
I think Crawford understands positioning more. You know what I mean? I think, Spence is the bigger guy. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I think that's clear, right? I don't know who's stronger. I don't want to make a bold statement like that because I don't know. But I know Crawford is strong. He manhandled Horn in there.
Yeah.
Horn's fought all the way up to middleweight, and Horn was manhandling Pacquiao, just to kind of put it in perspective. Yeah. And he manhandled him in there.
Yeah.
And so that tells me that he'll be able to hold his own. And Spence, I don't think he's going to be able to deal with Crawford repositioning him. And like Beep says, he has that strong wrestling background that he has kind of used a little bit at the boxing ring.
Seen him do it
successfully.
Yeah. Plus, I think he's a little underrated as far as strength goes. I think Crawford's a lot stronger than people think, even though he looks to be skinny, Believe me, I know, man, growing up here, Kenny, you know this too. Growing up in Sacramento, we play a lot of basketball out here.
Absolutely.
Sometimes those skinny guys, man, they might look like you could just brush them right over, but sometimes they're real strong, man.
I was one of them.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Well, so let me ask you guys this. Here's the other thing that I look at when I see a fight between those two. I look at Terrence Crawford. And Terrence Crawford is a magician in the ring. He's super skilled, no doubt about it. But one thing that I see about him is bravado gets in there a little bit. I think his defense lacks. He can get touched. One of the things that's gone on in his fights is I don't think he's fought anyone the caliber to really make him pay. You know what I mean? Even Kell Brook was touching him, but Kell Brook was washed. You know what I mean? We all know what that was. And then against the little Benavidez, he was getting touched, but he had one leg in there. I think he does leave himself open to get touched, but he hasn't faced the caliber opponent that could take advantage of that. I think Spence takes advantage of that.
I think what he does, Kenny, to be perfectly honest with you, I think he lulls these guys into a false sense of security. He kind of gives them a look and lets them feel comfortable, lets them get a little brave in there. Mm-hmm. And then once they get used of being able to touch him, then he just switches it up and changes gears on them. And then it's basically he throws that little feeler jab out there in the beginning. It's not like he's letting these guys have their way, but he's almost like suckering them in. He's like the snake charmer, you know? And then once, he starts to fight in a lower gear, basically, to try to get these guys to come to him, open up. And then, once they get comfortable to that type of pace that he's fighting, then he just turns it up. And once he turns it up, people haven't been able to adapt to that. So,
Miss Jones, I tried to tell these boys they ain't trying to hear it. I don't know.
Sasha, tell us. So, in that fight, you would favor Spence over Crawford?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what you're saying, but I think, like you say, Crawford hasn't had that opponent like Spence. So, he can put people in like a false sense of security, but the opponents he has haven't been to Spence's caliber. So, yeah, for me, I just think Spence has it. I think skill set wise, I think he's slightly above Crawford. But it's the two of the best in the division. So until it happens, they're going to bring out the best in each other. So for me, it's probably whoever can handle the pressure on the night. And yeah.
I think it's the most evenly matched fight in the game and all about it right now. I mean, these two.
Hell of a fight.
I mean, I can't call you crazy. I can't call you crazy for saying Spence would win. I mean, it's that good of a matchup.
It is.
So.
Yeah, it is a hell of a fight for sure. Like anyone could lose that fight. So yes, it's definitely a hell of a fight for sure.
I think what could throw Spence off too is I think Crawford's hands are a little bit quicker, just a little bit
faster. I think his feet are faster too.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that. I think he's
a better athlete. He's a better athlete, I think. To be
Spence
honest,
to me is a little too lineal at times. He'll just come straight in and straight out.
Yeah.
When Porter was able to back him up, he was able to land a lot of good shots because Spence a lot of times just went straight back. He did pivot every now and then with him, So if he can start doing that, then I might change my mind, but man, it's a good fight. I hope we get it soon, man.
Absolutely.
You'll appreciate this. Spence is an old country boy, and he's tougher than a government mule, as JR would say. So he'll get in there, and he'll take some to give some for sure. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. D. Jefferson, how's it going, brother? From Speak Your Mind Sports Talk.
What's up, fellas? My bad. I was sitting there waiting for I didn't notice you emailed me, so sorry I'm late. But what's up, everybody? How y'all doing tonight?
What's good,
It's all
bro?
good, brother. Hey, the first question is, who is the best welterweight in the world, and who's your favorite welterweight in the world?
Spence and Spence.
My man.
Spence and Spence, fam. Just that simple. Look, hey, Crawford, Spence, take your pick, okay? I don't have anything to say about someone who says Crawford's the best. If that's your guy, that's your pick. I think that these two guys are the only two that's going to beat each other. I will say that. I don't believe anybody's going to beat Spence but Crawford and vice versa, okay? So I'll give Crawford that respect. I'm not one of these guys that's this super huge Spence fan, but have everything to say wrong or the disdain for Crawford. I think he's an excellent fighter and he deserves to be where he is and ranked where he is, okay? But again, Spence is my favorite, and I believe that he is underrated and underestimated by a lot of people, okay? And I just feel like he's the better fighter. Crawford's the better boxer. Listen to what I said now. Crawford's the better boxer, yes. I think Spence is the better fighter. In this sport, you have boxers sometimes and you have fighters. Spence is the better fighter, D-Style. I see you shaking your head. No. Spence. Arrow, the truth. Spence, baby.
You're underestimating the dog and Bud. That's all I'm saying.
That's what I was about to say. That's what I was about to say. That Crawford got that dog in him. He got that dog in him.
We usually agree, but let me tell you guys something, and I'm not even gonna cut in again. The dog that Crawford has, I agree with, right? That shit is going to get him in trouble with Errol Spence because Crawford has this thing. When he gets hit, it's like Medea. I'm gonna get you back. That gets him in trouble. It got him in trouble with Gamboa. It got him in trouble in a few fights. That's going to get him into big trouble with Spence. Trust me, mark my words. You guys gonna see it.
Because he shouldn't know.
That's what I love about Crawford.
Spence is the same way too, bro. Spence is the same way too.
You know what I love about this? Who got the better chin, Joe?
I don't know.
No, get out of here. Get out of here. Stop
that remains to be seen.
None of them been knocked out, though. None of them been knocked out.
Has Spence been put down? Has Spence been put down?
No.
I mean, I've seen him hurt before.
Have we seen Crawford on stinky leg by a Gamboa?
And Machine got him too.
Hey man, let me tell you something. The only thing that had an effect on Spence's chin was that car accident.
Well, D,
no fighter did. Trust and believe. Arrow the truth.
Here's
you know why you may be right, D? The dude got flung out of a Ferrari and he didn't get one broken bone on it. So yeah, after that, we're gonna have to say he probably does have the better chance.
Hey, in all seriousness, though, I mean, we are lucky to still have Spence.
I gotta give you that. I gotta give you that, D. I'll give you that one.
That's my guy. I might cap a little bit for Errol Spence, but hey, that's my guy.
We have 6 people when it's 3-3. We had 12, it would be 6-6. If we had 20, it would be 10-10.
Could I switch my pick? Could I switch my pick to Josecito Lopez? No.
All right. Hey, let's talk about this, guys. We got Kenny for about 10 more minutes. So I want to start with you, Kenny. All right.
Yeah.
Talk to us. All right. Who is the dark horse or the overlooked guy in the welterweight division? Should we have an eye for that no one's really paying attention to, in your opinion?
So, all right, this is gonna sound crazy, right? This ain't the prospect, right? Because let me start with the prospects.
Could be whatever you want, yeah.
I love Virgil Ortiz. That boy's a beast. I think Jerron Boots in it one day will be top 5, top 3 pound for pound fighter in the game, right? Like I think Boots is the truth. But him and Virgil, they're on a collision course. Hopefully, we see that years down the road. Yeah. But I'm gonna tell you guys something, man. Somebody that's when you say a dark horse that's in the picture right now. I don't know, man. I feel like people just threw one time to the side of the road, man. One time still there. One time, Keith Thurman against Pacquiao, he lost the fight. But if it wasn't for the knockdown and then like just one clear 10-8 round, he was there. Like I on the card that I had, he had come back from the knockdown and then he got hurt again. And then that's kind of what put him away. But man, I'd love to see once. I know everybody wants to see Keith versus Errol, and I think that's the best fight to make in the division by far. But Errol versus Keith, you want to talk about real heat? You want to talk about some real bad blood in the lead up to that fight? Give me Errol versus Keith, man. I'd love to see that one.
Ooh, okay.
Now you're talking. Now you're talking.
All right. Hey, Chief Funky, who is a dark horse of the division?
I gotta agree with my Sacramento brother.
My man.
916 stand up, baby. One-time Thurman, man. People sweeping him under the rug, man. I always like Thurman. You know, his ability to move and box, and he's still got good pop on them shots, quick hands, and I agree with you again, Kenny. I had that Pacquiao fight. The difference on my scorecard was that knockdown.
Mm-hmm.
For that knockdown, you know, who knows where it could have been, but it was a close fight. I still scored it for Pacquiao though, but yeah, I think people are really just throwing him away, man. I think it's a shame. He's got some good wins against some good welterweights. Was a champion for a long time, so I'm going with one time, baby. With the new haircut and everything, man. You don't look like Superfly no more, you know?
That's right, man. Kind of like me, look, you know what I mean? Like, you just, you know, like, it's Chicano Prophet, Rum PMC, Esso, D. Hodges, JC, Guido, Major Key, Chicano, Rob Boxing, D Nice, all you guys. Shout out to you, Sasha. Who is the overlooked guy, the dark horse of welterweight?
Well, they stole my one. I was going to go Thurman, but I think, you know, I'm going to have to go with a British boxer. I'm going to go more dark horse for like a few years' time. I'm going to say Conor Benn.
Conor Benn, yeah.
Yeah, I think, you know, still a good few years away, but, you know, his last fight, he was impressive. He was strong. He's technically good. Yeah, for me, and I think in a few years, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with for sure, Conor Benn.
They're also moving him the right way. I like that pick.
Yeah.
I like that pick.
All right.
Yeah. So, yeah, hopefully a fight with Josh Kelly possibly soon as well. I think that would be a good test for him as well. But yeah, that's going to be my pick.
All right. Hey, talk to me, D. Who's a dark horse? Who's being overlooked here?
Let me tell y'all something, man. I want to say this first because I got to pick at G Funky and my man Kenny up there. I put a video out not too long ago about Keith Once Upon a Time Thurman. It ain't Keith One Time Thurman no more. That's Keith Once Upon a Time. My dark horse is Sean Showtime Porter because I think he's got something left. I think he could probably listen. The fight with Spence was a close fight.
Yeah.
We don't know if Crawford could beat Sean Porter. He's not faced anybody at that level. That could be our dark horse right there. Sean Showtime Porter. And a rematch with as close as that fight was with Spence, who knows, right? Sean Porter. Keith One Time Thurman, I like him. Got respect for him. But let's be honest. He struggled with Josecito Lopez. Nearly got stopped. And he lost to the 40-year-old Manny Pacquiao. That is Keith Once Upon a Time Thurman. He is broken down. The injuries has caught up with him. He needs to play the flute and enjoy his wife.
Yeah, like once upon a time, there was a world champion called One Time.
I will say this. One time he's not what he was. I can admit that, but I still think he got something left in him.
We don't know until we see him fight again.
I just had to pick at y'all, man. I had to pick at y'all on that one.
Go ahead, Beeb. Who's a dark horse?
I'm shocked. No one's brought this guy up. I'm shocked.
Maybe you're gonna steal mine. I don't know.
You're Dennis Ugas.
Cuba.
Yeah. I thought he clearly beat Sean Porter in their fight. Clearly.
Close.
I scored the fight 8-4.
Clearly.
8-4. I thought he clearly beat him.
Man, that's a bad boy right there. I like Ugas, man. He's
got great footwork. He's fast. He's a phenomenal defensive fighter. He can box from the outside, inside. He's a versatile guy, man. He can pretty much do it all, and he can punch as well. Had a couple losses early in his career, but he's kind of gone on a streak outside of that Porter fight. I thought he won that fight. I thought he boxed Porter's ears off, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Ugas is a problem, bro. He's a problem for anybody.
He's hard to pin that guy down. He's constantly moving. He knows how to speed the fight up when he needs to and slow it right down. He's a smart guy.
Mm-hmm.
I just think I think he's a very good fighter.
Cuba school, man.
Some people might say, hey, D-Style, he's still a prospect. I don't care. Virgil Ortiz is the dark horse of this division. Okay, he's graduated from that. Put him in the ring with Keith Thurman right now. Let's see what happens. I guarantee you he stops Keith Thurman right now. Virgil Ortiz will beat Keith Thurman right now. Okay, just watch him, see what he's going to do to Hooker. Okay, he is going to beat him up with hooks to the body, pun intended, and he's going to stop him. I want Thurman after that. He'll be a world champion in less than 2 years. Virgil Ortiz is being slept on. He'll beat most of these dudes. He already wants the big names, right? He's like 2-3 fights away from the big names, like a Spence and something like that. Not yet, but he is a dark horse. He's being overlooked. Hey, Ken, he's better than Boots.
Oh, see, I was just about to ask y'all. Ain't nobody else gonna mention Boots. Boots is, I think. Boots
I'm surprised nobody said Boots.
He's gonna be a top 5 pound for pound fighter in the game. Yeah, I think he's that good.
I was gonna wait till the end, but I like what you said about Boots and Ortiz, the collision course. That's what boxing needs right there, man. We need to get 2 young, good prospects in the division, put them on that collision course. Boom, we got a super fight, man. That's what I want to see.
I love that, yeah.
Hey, I'll tell you this. I'm just speaking in jest, but that's definitely a fight I want to see for sure. Like Boots versus Ortiz, it's sometime in the future. So, hey, now let's talk about the best fight. Now, we all know that the best fight is Crawford Spence, okay? So, besides that one, and you already mentioned one kind of, Kenny, but if you want to mention no one, you can. What is the best fight that could be made at welterweight besides Crawford Spence?
I like what he was talking about, Crawford and Porter. I mean, that's a great fight. That's a super high level fight, and there'll be intrigue there because we haven't seen Crawford in the ring with somebody the caliber of a Sean Porter. So we all want to see that. I think that's probably the best. But like I said, honorable mention. You want to talk about the build up for the fight. The shit that Spence and Keith gonna be talking back and forth if they ever got on a press tour, that would be comedy. I'd love to see, because they really don't like each other. Like, at least Spence don't like Keith. So I'd love to see that build up and that explode in the ring.
Okay, all right. Sasha, besides the Spence Crawford fight, what's a fight you would like to see?
Yeah, there's a few. I mean, again, I'm gonna have to go back to the British fighters, and only because we're all talking about it right now. It's gonna be the Brook and Khan fight, and it's not that. I don't know if I want to see it because I think I wanted to see it 5 years ago, but I want to see it to say it's happened and it's done, and we can forget about all that talk that keeps happening and all of that. Like, and I'm a bit swayed. I think it's either gonna surprise everyone and be a really good fight, or it's going to go the complete opposite way and be a ball fest and we'll never want to watch it again. But I just want it done to say it's been done. And even though it's a bit like the Pacquiao-Mayweather fight, that it's far too late in the game, I just think, for me, that's the fight I'd like to see at the minute. But there's tons in the welterweight division that are obviously bigger fights than that. But for me, I want to see that one soon.
All right. Hey, best fight could be most exciting. It could be anything. It's a good fight. That'll be the stoppable force meets the movable object. You know what I mean? It'll be interesting. D. Jefferson, what is the best fight besides obviously Spence Crawford that can be made at welterweight right now?
I do like the Porter Crawford fight, but if we're talking best fight, like not money, right? We're just talking like competitive, maybe.
It could be whatever you want. Yeah.
Check it out, man. 2 guys that just lost, right, to show down in a rematch to kind of put their name back over the top. Danny Garcia, Keith Thurman. Both of them just lost. Beating the other guy will say, okay, I'm still here, and forget about him. Keith Thurman, Danny Porter trilogy. Huh? I mean, Keith Thurman, Danny Garcia trilogy. Yeah.
Okay.
Loser
Rematch.
leaves.
Okay. All right. G Funky. Well, actually, it's been 30 minutes. Ken, do you need to go?
Yeah, man, I got to handle some birthday duties for the wifey, but I appreciate. Hey, man,
tell everybody where they can find you before you go.
Hey, at IMK Diddy on Twitter and on Instagram. If you even if you're not in the Sacramento area, ESPN 1320. We D-Lo and KC 12-2. About to be maybe a little more soon. But yeah, man, check me out, man, on Twitter and Instagram, man. And G Funky, D Styles, you know you guys are my boys, man. I appreciate y'all bringing me on, man, for real.
Absolutely, man. Hope to have you
Right
on,
bro.
future.
Yeah, indeed. Y'all here, man.
There you go, guys. Make sure you follow them. All right.
Shout out to Kenny with the River Cats hat, the AAA team here in Sacramento. Man, representing.
Yeah. Beeb, talk to us. Best fight.
Got a problem with this question. This is like asking me what my favorite car is, but I can't say Lamborghini or Rolls Royce. I don't like it. What's my favorite ice cream flavor? I can't say vanilla or chocolate. I mean, what kind of question is this? No, but all seriousness, I think a great fight would be Manny Pacquiao versus Errol Spence. I think that would be a huge fight. That's a great fight. I picked Manny Pacquiao to beat Keith Thurman. I thought that he had enough to do it. And I also think that, Manny Pacquiao has more left in the tank than a lot of people are giving him credit for. People don't understand when Mayweather and Pacquiao were at their best, they were like up here. So even if they went down a little bit, that still keeps them in the ballpark of being talented. Obviously, Mayweather's been away for a while, so and he's older than Manny, but Manny's a guy who's always taken care of himself. Did have that knockout loss to Marquez, but he's never really taken a beating in the ring. Never taken a beating in the ring. So I still think he has a lot of miles left on him. He's a clean liver. He's in great shape all the time. I still think that even if he has lost a step, he still may have enough steps to still be fast and still be a problem or trouble for anybody. So I'd be interested to see that fight because Spence isn't a guy who moves a lot. Manny Pacquiao is. So would Spence be chasing Manny Pacquiao around the ring all night? It would be very interesting, I think.
Okay, all right. Chief Funky, talk to us. Best fight, welterweight.
Man, I was going to go with what Beeb said, but I don't want to be a copycat, although I do think that's a great fight too, but I'd have to go Crawford Pacquiao.
All right.
For me, it'd be interesting to see if Crawford will be able to box 12 rounds against Pacquiao, because we know he can be outboxed, but Pacquiao going to apply that pressure, coming in with punches, nonstop. Crawford, we know he's willing to trade with guys, so it could be an exciting fight. He doesn't mind getting in there and mixing it up. So for me, I think that would be the most entertaining fight right now. But also got to remind you guys today, 31 years ago, man, Douglas knocked out Tyson, 1990, man. So shout out to Buster Douglas,
Buster Douglas with that big up, probably the biggest upset, not only in boxing, but in sports history. Huge upset. No doubt about that. Let me give you guys my favorite fight, the best fight to make, right? Let me tell you, besides Spence Crawford. Boots versus Ortiz.
Yeah.
Boots Ennis versus Virgil Ortiz. Tell me you would be excited Saturday night, guys. Boots Ennis versus Virgil Ortiz. Right now.
I love
right now, I'd be disappointed right now.
No, you
Not
wouldn't.
me.
Come on.
I'd
Come
be
on.
disappointed right now.
Why? Because you want to be a promoter and you want to milk
Yep.
it? Or
Yep.
are you a fight fan? Come on.
I want to build that fight up because I think that's a mega fight, man. That's why.
Jealous. Don't be jealous because G Funky got a promoter's license and you don't.
No, wait. You
G-Funky,
tell
we have
me.
a problem in boxing. No marination. We need to do it like the guys in the UK. Get them in there. Let's see what they got.
Well, I don't
Forget
know,
about
like,
this marination, man.
Conor
Forget about it.
never fought each other. So I don't know about that, but I know that's a good
Let's
example.
find out now. I'm with it right now.
It's too early for me, man. It's too early. I honestly think that could be a fight that could bring boxing back. I really do, because I think both of these guys are the goods. You know, if they could just build them the right way in the next couple of years, these guys will both be world champions at 147, and then we get that big clash. I think that could be the fight, man. That could do it for us, you know, get us back where we need to be. But if it happens now, of course I'll watch it, but I won't be as excited as if it was a super fight, you know?
Flip side to that,
Big fight.
it is a fight that also can make one of or both of these guys great. It's a fight that they're going to face adversity, attrition in. This is what really built the fighters of yesteryear, fam. They fought these fights where they fought and faced adversity and attrition in early, and they learned from that. So this is actually, it's a flip side, because this is a fight that can make both of them or one of them truly great.
Yes, sir.
Look, I mean, do I agree with you, G Funky, that could be a bigger fight down the line? That they could always do a rematch down the line. It's not like they could never fight again. You know what I mean? It's not like it can't be done again. You know, like, in other words, what if like it never happens because they're gonna milk it? And what if somebody else knocks out Ortiz or Boots and it never happens?
Honestly, I mean, that could happen. It's possible. But I think that I think these guys are both good enough to get to the point where that won't happen. I really do think that. I don't think these guys will be beat until they face each other, you know. And I want to see one of those big fights like we had in the 80s, man. Like when I was growing up, the Hagler, the Hearns, Leonard, Duran, all those dudes. Like, I think this could be one of those fights, man. That could be a big showdown, you know.
I agree with G Funky.
We need to keep G Funky away from Al Hammond and Bob Arum with all this damn marination.
I agree with G Funky. Let's throw it in the bag and shake it up and throw it in the fridge for a couple weeks.
My baby, you're just agreeing to piss me off. That's all you're doing.
That's not true. That's not true. That's not true.
Would you like to see that fight? Right? If that fight were announced, right? Would you be excited for that fight?
Yeah, definitely. I don't like this whole waiting a few years for a fight. Anything can happen. Someone, you know, if one loses, the hype's gone. Just get them in, get them to fight. Like you say, have the rematch down the line. Nothing's going to stop them. I think it's better. I think it's better for their careers. And if the best and the best, and you get a loss, it's not the end of the world. If you avoid, and then we get down the line, it's too late. You know, sometimes the hype goes. I'd rather do it too early and do it again later down the line than just wait and hope for the best. So yeah, I'd love to see that fight sooner rather than later.
All right. Sasha's 2 for 2 with me. Connor Ben in that comment right there. 2 for 2.
There you go. See? You know what? Let me put you in the bottom.
D-Style probably text her. He probably texted her and told her to say that. Text her and told her to say that.
You're all going to the bottom over there with people that are wrong. You know what I mean? No, but in all seriousness, I want to just, go around. If any of you have anything to say about the Douglas. Okay, I know D and B are old. So I'm sure you guys remember that it was yesterday. Anything you guys want to say about the Douglas?
Taking shots.
the Douglas upset over Tyson.
Well, I remember it like it was yesterday, to be honest with you, and I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. I said to myself, I had to go to the bathroom, but I didn't go to the bathroom because I thought the fight was going to be over in one round. So I tried. So I held it. So luckily it went longer than one round. So I got to go to the bathroom. But yeah, that was the upset of. I would have to say that was the greatest upset in sports history. I know a lot of people like to say that the 1980 Olympic hockey team was a bigger upset than that. I don't know. I don't think so.
Those were amateur United States hockey players against professional Russian hockey players, bro. You know how unlikely that was?
Yeah, but those guys were old, those Russians. But I think a 45-1. The casinos weren't even. I think there was only one casino at the time that actually was taking bets. Like there wasn't even the odds were so. I've never seen a fight where the odds were so wide that casinos just didn't take bets for it. They stopped taking bets for it. It was like crazy. And I think like one guy bet like 300,000 on Tyson to make like 3,000 or something like that, and he lost. It's crazy. So yeah.
Okay. What about you, D? I know you were around. Like, what were you, like in high school when that happened?
Yeah. I blamed everything but Tyson. I blamed Richard Steele. I said, the count was BS. I blame the
That was your
fact
glove
that they,
gate? That was your glove
yeah,
gate?
I blame the fact that they had it in Tokyo. If it was in America, he would have won. I blamed everything but Tyson. It hurt me to my heart to see Mike Tyson go, but it is what it is, man. It's boxing, you know? It is what it is. I mean, I don't even really, it took me years to rewatch that fight.
Mm.
I didn't even want to watch it again.
Oh, I watched it the following Saturday, D. I loved it.
It took me like 2 years to even rewatch the fight. I was like, I don't even want to see Mike go down like that again, man. It make no sense.
You guys are gonna laugh, but I've never seen the third fight of Morales Pacquiao since it happened. Never seen it. Can't watch it.
Yeah, man.
It makes me feel horrible. I don't like it.
You know what fight? You know what fight that I can't watch? Sugar Ray Leonard versus Hector Camacho. That rips my soul out. That rips my soul out.
Wow, it's a great fight.
Ray was over the hill, man.
What a knockout! You know what I mean? Like, feather fisted Camacho, like pulling off that might be an upset for the century. But yeah, feather fisted Camacho. How do you survive Hagler and Hearns and Camacho knocks you?
He had a torn calf muscle going into the fight, and he wouldn't postpone the fight. His pride got the better of him.
Yeah. Man, he was old too, man. Not old, but older.
No, he was 40.
He's 41, I think, right?
Yeah.
He was 40, 41. I think he was 40, yeah.
What about you, Sasha? You have a fight that you can't watch or that you hated watching?
Not really, no. Yeah, I'm not the one in the ring. I didn't lose. I can handle someone else losing.
Man, she made it sound like a bunch of wimps, you know. But I'm gonna have to watch that fight now. You know?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. You little softy. At least I did watch it 2 years later. You ain't even watched it yet, man.
What about you, G Funky?
I can't say that there's one particular fight that I can't go back and watch.
Trinidad
There's
Hopkins. Trinidad Hopkins.
I've actually watched
Trinidad
that one
Hopkins.
a lot. I watched that one a lot, man, to be honest with you. It's not so bad for me, you know. Take a lot. I think the Winky loss was was worse for me because I thought he was going to destroy Wink. To be honest, I knew that the Hopkins fight was going to be a tough fight for Trinidad. I thought he was going to catch Winky around that high guard with a left hook and put his ass to sleep. Didn't happen though. That one's a little bit harder for me to watch. But as far as the Tyson thing goes, I want to chime in on that. Were there some mishaps and one-offs that went on with Tyson's corner and training camp and all that stuff? Absolutely. I mean, if you go back and watch that fight, I mean, they had a latex glove with ice water, and that's what they were using to put on his eye.
There was a whoopee cushion. They put a whoopee cushion on his eye.
Yeah, it was bad. They didn't even have the end swell or nothing, you know, and he's getting swelled up as the fight goes on. But yeah, that was
Vaseline, by the way. He was allergic to Vaseline.
Yeah. So it was a tough night for Tyson. But I just remember that's one of the earliest memories I have of watching boxing with my family. And it was a shocker, man. Nobody expected to see that. Nobody expected Douglas to go rounds. He started going round after round after round. And then he gets knocked down. He gets up, and then he ends up knocking Tyson out. It was just like a freak thing, you know. But, yeah, big upset. Big.
Okay.
Hey, D-Style. I know you said one fight, right? But it is another fight that is really difficult for me to watch because it's my favorite fighter of all time. And when this guy lost to Oscar De La Hoya, it hurt me to my soul. I mean, it really hurt me, bro. Pernell Whitaker was my guy. I'm from Virginia, so that fight was cutting me deep there.
Right.
A lot of people thought Whitaker won that fight too.
Yeah. That one hurt me.
One last one. Gerald McClellan versus Nigel Benn. That was a very painful fight.
Oh wow, yeah, that was bad.
Yes,
that was not a good. Yeah, that was.
That hurt me too.
What about that, Sasha? Did you feel anything for that one? Nigel Benn and McClellan?
No, you know, obviously not as emotional as you guys.
Yeah, she's like, yeah, I'll watch it.
We must be like we must be the type of guys that Sasha doesn't go for, man. She must think we're wimps.
She's like, man, this guy's getting upset about a boxing fight, like But anyway, hey, it hits her soul. You know what I mean? But I'm still not gonna watch that third fight though with Morales Pacquiao again ever.
Oh man.
But hey, it is what it is. You know what I mean? Shout out to Sweet Pea Whitaker. Rest in peace, of course.
Sweet Pea.
Look, I want to go ahead, guys, and move to this question here. Manny Pacquiao. Right after they stripped him, by the way, all of a sudden, oh, yeah, he's working on the fight. And there's rumors now that he might be fighting Floyd Mayweather in a rematch.
I didn't hear that.
You know what I mean? So those are some of the rumors on some of the sites. And if it's in the internet, it must be true, right? But G-Funky, if not that one, who would you like to see Manny Pacquiao fight?
Well, if not Mayweather, and honestly, I don't even want to see that fight again. That first fight was so bad. Like, I don't have any interest in that anymore. But I would like to see him face one of these guys at the top of the division. I agree with you. I think he's still got a little bit left. So anybody at the top will do it for me. Just the way I'm looking at it, man. If you're gonna stay in the division and you still got your legs and your hand speed, then let's get it. But I don't want to see the Mayweather fight, man. I'm good.
You know what's crazy is that I think I would favor Pacquiao in a rematch because he's been active. He's been fighting better fighters, more active than Floyd anyway. And I don't know. Floyd hasn't really had a real fight like that since the Berto fight. So we'll see. Beeb, what's up, man? I mean, who would you like to see Pacquiao fight, or who do you think the opponent is? What's going on?
I think the opponent's going to be Spence because Pacquiao's manager's already been talking about Spence, saying that he doesn't think he's the same fighter that he was before. That he was after the accident. Yeah, he was saying he's not the same fighter he was since the accident. So he thinks the accident had something to, took something away from Spence. So they've been talking about Spence, and I know Pacquiao. I think Pacquiao, if I recall, I think he was at the Spence Garcia fight. I think he was scouting Spence then, if I remember correctly. So I think we're going to see a Spence Pacquiao fight, maybe in September.
Oh, wow, that's a hell of a bold statement. Okay,
yeah, probably going to see that.
Sasha, who would you like to see him fight, or whatnot?
Definitely not Mayweather. I couldn't sit through that again. I just didn't enjoy it. Wasn't watchable. Could put anyone off boxing. So I think it depends. If he was going for Mayweather, he's obviously looking for a big payday. I'd rather see him in with like McGregor. I think that'd be a lot more entertaining if that was the route he was going down. But otherwise, I'd like to see him against either like Spence or Crawford. For me, if he was his best version of himself, there's a chance he could beat either Spence or Crawford. And I think at the minute, he's the only one who would have that chance against them. But it would have to be him on his best day and probably Spence or Crawford on not the worst day, but not the best day either. But I'd like to see that. But if he's going for a payday, I'd much rather see McGregor over Mayweather because I couldn't sit through that again.
Right. Okay. What about you, D?
Me and B back on pace. I like it. We back on the same page. Look, man. So here
it's a stretch to me.
No, man. I like, me and B always, we connected, fam. We think alike. You know what I mean?
When the twin powers activate, baby.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so check it out. So everybody knows I've been denounced the Manny Pacquiao-Ryan fight as soon as it came out. I said it's farce. It's not going to happen. Well, recently here, Manny Pacquiao just announced that he has a legacy fight to it that's coming up, right? And this is where the rumor of Floyd came from. However, I'm in line with what B was talking about because they have been scouting Spence, and here's something a lot of people don't know as well. Manny Pacquiao and his team requested to go in recess. It was not something where the WBA said, hey, we're stripping him, right? They requested this actually. Why would they do that? to wait to see what happens between Spence
Because
and
he was
Ugas.
listening to the round table and heard me say,
Yeah,
"Hey,
could've
man,
been.
what do we says?"
Could have been, but I doubt it. But they don't listen to me. But no, I think that he challenges the winner of Spence and Ugas, and most likely we believe that should be Spence, and I could see him fighting Spence later this year as well. I think that because that will qualify as a legacy fight. Pacquiao taking on a Spence at this age of his career. Yeah, that would qualify for a legacy fight. It doesn't have to be Floyd. The rumor of Floyd came up because he said legacy fight. So everybody, or not everybody, but I guess guys just assumed Floyd Mayweather. But I'm with Beeb on this one. I think it's Spence.
I don't think Mayweather fights ever again. No way.
Yeah, nothing but exhibition matches, gimmick fights and shit.
He's straight exhibition, man.
I don't know.
straight
I have a
exhibition.
feeling I'm gonna make everybody cringe. Okay,
It's not going to happen, D-Style.
but I have a feeling. Okay,
Don't do it.
that rematch is gonna happen, guys.
Will never happen. That'll
Floyd
never happen.
Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao 2, and it's going to get over 4 million buys for all the people saying they're not going to watch it. Everybody's going to watch it.
The only way
Sasha's
that-
going to be up at 1 in the morning watching the fight.
Yeah,
The only way
I
that
will
fight
still
happens
watch
is-
it.
The only way that
No?
fight happens is on Xbox.
No. I just think that the writing's in the wall. Like I'm telling you guys,
PlayStation 3.
Mayweather versus Pacquiao 2. I have that feeling. And look, the Logan Paul fight got postponed, and you know what I mean.
It's fighting
Mayweather
50
might
Cent.
be feeling a little froggy. He might be feeling a little like I need some money. You know what I mean? So,
It's
or
gonna
more
fight 50
money.
Cent. It's going to fight 50 Cent.
The Pacquiao fight's more likely than the 50 Cent fight.
No way.
It was
He'll never
man.
fight.
It was such a bad fight. You know, like it left such a
was.
bad taste in everyone's mouth. Like, dude,
Look,
I had
I
probably
get
50 people at my place, and let me tell you, I had a
I get it.
projector screen, I had a big giant screen. Everybody was there. By the time the fight was over, they were like this.
He'll never fight
It
back.
was like dead quiet at the fight was
But-
over, man. Like,
You don't think Pacquiao wants that shot again without the the shoulder not being 100%? Huh? Pacquiao had his lowest output in any 12-round fight ever against Mayweather, and Mayweather had his lowest output of any 12-round fight ever, right? So I think there's something to that, and maybe he wants to rematch him again without the IV and all that stuff. I'm telling you, I think that fight's gonna happen, and you guys can say whatever. I know you're gonna watch it. Sasha can shake her head. I know she's watching it. Look,
Listen,
I catch the replay.
I'll watch two pigeons fighting over a piece of bread in the street, so you know I'm gonna watch it. I bought Bobby Gunn versus Roy.
you saw
Jones
Roy
Jr.
Tyson. Yes, I know.
I bought Roy Tyson. I don't stream anything. I buy everything because I'm a loser.
People are saying, "Yeah, I'll watch it." Like what? I don't know.
So don't go by me. I buy everything.
You don't think
I
Pacquiao
will watch it, bro. I'll watch
You don't
it.
think Pacquiao wants a chance to redeem that? Because if he beats Mayweather, he's the best fighter of the generation. Period.
It doesn't matter what Pacquiao wants. It's what Mayweather's gonna do. He's not gonna do it. He's not.
Hey,
Well,
I've heard
here's
the
what I'll
clamor.
say, D-Style. Let's just say hypothetically it does happen,
24/7boxing.com
and-
said it. It must be true.
and Pacquiao beats him, right? They got to fight again. It's 1-1. Somebody had to be a tiebreaker, man.
Hey,
Mayweather
we got to
at
do
least
what we got to
Mayweather-
do.
Mayweather wants to be 50-0 for the rest of his life.
Do you
That's
guys
what he
not
wants.
understand that there's people out there that can't go to sleep? Like they have insomnia. Well, we need to find a cure. So let's give it to them. All right.
That's it.
Give him some Ambien then. They can't sleep.
Now the fight will put them to sleep. I'll tell you right now. And who knows? It might be an exciting fight, though. You never know.
Take some Benadryl if you can't sleep.
If Manny Pacquiao if he could throw more with that, you never know. He might be able to, make it more of a fight, like he
I got
did
a
in the
trip-
third round. Remember?
I got a trivia question for you. Whose shoulder's worse, Manny Pacquiao's or Vasily Lomachenko's?
Probably Lomachenko's.
Probably Lomachenko's, right?
Loma,
Oh, by the way, breaking news, guys. Lomachenko Nakatani is being rumored. Okay, and some strong sources are saying that fight might happen.
It's
I
bad.
don't know.
It's a bad fight. It's a bad fight for Lomachenko.
Before we proceed, if anyone wants to just chime in on that really quick, why is it a bad fight, Joe?
I don't think he does well against a guy like Nakatani. Nakatani is a big, strong, physical guy. I think he manhandles him a little bit. I don't think it reminds me of the Salido fight all over again, to be honest with you.
Boy. But he's better. He's improved, right? Since his second fight.
I don't think Lomachenko is going to get better at this point. I think he can only go down. I don't think he can go up.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Beeb again. I gotta admit, I agree with Beeb again. Yeah. Well, first off, Bob Arum just came out and hinted toward that. He said that they were in talks with Nakatani for Lomo's return. But I do have to agree with Beeb on this D style, because Nakatani was one of these guys that people didn't really know anything about when he faced Teofimo. And he gave Teofimo a hell of a fight. And the reason is because that guy can box, he's 6 foot tall, and he has a good reach. And he has pop with him. He has all of that. So this is part of the problem that Lomachenko had with Teofimo. He had size, power, he had to work his way inside. He's not going to have any different difficulty with Nakatani. And he's longer and taller than Teofimo. And from the Felix Verdejo fight, we know that this guy has heart. We know this guy has a chin. And what he did to Felix Verdejo, we know he got a little pop with him. So this is a difficult fight for Lomachenko. Anatoly Lomachenko had Usyk and Loma and Vlasov. He had these guys fighting at a high level early in their career. It's not too far to go up from there. He already had these guys at a high level. So, again, I just have to agree with Beeb because he made some great points.
How much did Beeb wire you before the shows?
One last D, here's another point. D,
he's like a hype man in the show. Go ahead.
D, here's another point that I think we both agree on. We're not big fans of these guys staying in the amateurs as long as they do, because it takes away from their pro career, right?
Exactly.
All right. Okay. Anything else you guys want to agree on? Or?
Stop hating D style. Stop hating.
I think we should make D the host. He's so smart.
Hey, Sasha, what do you think just about that fight? Nakatani Lomachenko, can that be a problematic fight for Loma?
Yeah, I'm quite surprised by it. I think after his defeat, I thought he'd kind of eased his way back in a little bit, but I suppose it's difficult because where else is he going to go? Who else is he going to fight? Yeah, it's a tough one. I don't actually see him win. I don't see him winning this fight. So then where do you go down when you've lost 2 consecutive fights? So yeah, it's risky. It's definitely risky. But yeah, I agree with the guys there. I think he'll struggle. I think he'll have the same problems he had in his last fight, maybe with a better shoulder. But yeah, I suppose he's not going to have a journeyman, is he? So who's he going to go to next? He's still going to need a big fight. So, he's obviously got the confidence in himself, and he's obviously believes he can win. So why not?
Okay. Chief Funky, did you want to add anything to that fight being? You're the first one that told me actually today over the phone. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a great fight, man. I think it could be fight of the year, man. If it may, I think that the styles could make a really, really good fight. We know Lomachenko. He's honestly surprised me in the last fight. I didn't think he was going to be able to take clean shots from Teofimo. He did get hit with some clean shots. Did get hurt a couple times, even to the body, but he hung in there, and he sold out to go for the win late. So he surprised me with his toughness and his chin. Same thing with Nakatani. We know that dude is as tough as nails. Big guy for the division. Can't never rule him out. He goes down, he gets back up. And I think it could be a fight of the year, man, in my opinion. I would still favor Loma slightly, but man, it's a tough fight for him and for Nakatani, man. I hope it gets done because I think it's a hell of a fight.
I think Loma just boxes him for 12 rounds, to be honest with you. I think he would work the angles. Nakatani won't have that awareness real time like Teofimo was able to be. Teofimo, I told you before the fight, I felt had faster hands than Lomachenko. That's not going to be the case in this fight. I think Loma will be slipping the jab all night of Nakatani. I think he will hit that long torso with body shots. He's a really good body puncher. and he'll wear him down, and he'll play it safe. And I think he outboxes him for 12 rounds. I don't think Nakatani can keep up with him.
Too
I
small.
don't.
Too small.
I disagree. Plus, Loma, and I said this going into the Teofimo fight when I made my prediction. He's not the defensive wizard that these guys claim that he was going into that Teofimo fight. I remember we kept hearing that over and over again. He's hard to hit. He's hard to hit. Yet I see this guy busted up at the end of every fight. So I mean, he can be there to be hit, man. And Nakatani's not gonna stop letting his hands go, man.
It was absolutely a facade from 126 and 130. Here was the problem with that. When he was at 126 and 130, numerically, by the numbers, he was rivaling Floyd Mayweather and not being hit. When he moved to 135, that went up to 41%, fam. It climbed 18% more. He was getting hit at 135. So that facade was built from Lomachenko not being touched at 126 and 130. You get up to bigger guys, you're facing different issues. So you have to do more to not be hit, which means that's why he got hit more. This is the biggest guy. Let's think about this. And D-Style, you are underestimating Nakatani's hand speed. D-Style, how easy was it for Teofimo Lopez to stay away from him? That's what you need to ask yourself. Right?
He only won like 2 rounds against Theo.
Oh, stop that, man. See, this is the thing. You can
win a tough fight.
No, listen, you can win a 10-2 round fight, but the rounds that you won, you barely won them.
They were close
rounds. You barely won them, which
means
they were good rounds. They were good, tough rounds, and you still won a unanimous decision. Those were tough rounds that Tio won against Nakatani. Very, very good fight. That fight was the fight that I was talking about earlier, where a fighter needs to face adversity and attrition. That's the fight that got him prepared for Comey and Lomachenko. It was that Nakatani fight.
Theo is a whole nother animal. He was not himself in the Nakatani fight. I'm not trying to make excuses, right? Every fighter goes in there with their own problems. They all have their own issues. Nakatani might have had issues too. Who knows? But from Teofimo himself and his own father himself, they've said that wasn't even the best Teofimo Lopez, but they gave him credit for being one hell of a fighter. I don't think he'll knock him out. I think he'll know who he's in there against. And I think Loma just outboxes him for 12 rounds. Like I just don't think he's going to two-step him all night. The footwork is going to be too much for Nakatani, in my opinion, right? And I don't know. I just don't think he has to worry much about Nakatani's power. With Theo, he had to worry about the right hand. He had to worry about a right hand, an uppercut, a hook. He had to worry about the jab as well. Everything. Right,
Nakatani got a good right hand too, and I think Lomachenko has problems dealing with guys that have long arms. He has a hard time getting out of range because as he has to get close to get in, he's going to be getting touched on the way in because these guys have longer arms. He has.
Can I get a witness, please? Can I get a witness?
The guy.
Remember this when he outboxes. He said outclass him.
No.
It's a bad matchup for Nakatani, I'm telling you.
No, it's a worse matchup. It's a worse matchup for Lomachenko. The worst matchup for Lomachenko.
No, Mike from Boston, I'm completely familiar with, and he's a super duper Lomachenko fan. So I don't think you want that witness. I really don't think you want that witness.
I'm just saying. Where's Eldon? I need a witness. You know what I mean?
Lomachenko is not that guy at 135. He's too small for the division.
Right.
He's too small for the division. It's the wrong division for him.
Nakatani's like the Postal of 135. You know what I mean? Like he's just, he's good. He's gonna give guys tough fights, but he's never gonna quite.
And Loma's not the same guy when you can
not
force
the same
him
guy.
back. When you can force him back, he's not the same dude.
He's got a bum shoulder too.
Keeps the hands high.
Hold on.
He's got a bum shoulder.
See, the thing was he couldn't step to the side as successfully against Theo, right? Nakatani's not going to be able to deal with that guy. He's going to just circle him. He's not going to push him back.
But what you don't understand is when this guy is circling and he's stepping to the side, he's not punching. When he punches, he always comes back to the center and goes straight in. That's what he does.
I will say this. I have to give D-Style this one because that pivot that Loma does, he tried that with Tio a couple of times, and Tio turned with him and caught him a couple of times, right? And that was where people were underestimating Tio's footwork because Tio has very underestimated footwork. So I have to agree with D-Style on this one. That footwork and the way Lomachenko moves in and out, pivots. It's going to matter.
Pattern fighter. He's a pattern fighter. He's
Yeah, but it's a pattern that Nakatani may not be used to.
Yeah, Nakatani's not a pattern solver.
He may be this time. The
blueprint.
Nakatani
Disrespect.
Look,
You lose
name D-Style because
the blueprint is out there.
Gonna shock the world, baby.
The blueprint is out there right now. Everyone's gonna stop beating Loma now that the blueprint's out there.
I'm not picking Nakatani. I think it's a hell of a fight, though.
I'm picking Nakatani.
A lot of them could try to. I apologize. Did you finish your point?
No, I was just saying, officially, I'm not picking Nagatani. I think it's a tough fight, man.
I'm picking Nagatani.
I usually wait for the fights to be official before I start thinking who's going to win or not, because we know how boxing can be, man.
I'm picking hypotheticals now. I'm picking.
Let me tell you something. They could watch the film.
I'm picking Nakatani in that fight.
They can watch the film all day. Oh, look how he pivoted with him and all that. They could try to imitate all day, but they will not be able to emulate.
I'll be in the camp. I'll help them.
All right. I'm definitely going to bet for Loma now. You know what I mean? Hey, guys, Daniel Dubois switched to Mark Tibbs, so he has a new trainer now. And he also said he's on a mission to show people he's not a quitter, which tells me it's on his mind. And tells me it affected him hearing people say that. Right? Beeb, I want to start with you. Okay? I want to start with you. Talk to us. Well, what do you make of him switching trainers, and making that statement that he's on a mission to show people he's not a quitter?
I don't think he is a quitter. I think that, I'm not this guy that likes to say fighters are quitters. I mean, everyone has their breaking point. If you break an orbital bone and you have and you're in enough pain where you can't continue, and also if you break an orbital bone and you continue to fight and you have a chance of losing vision in your eye, what do? Do you lose vision in your eye and then you can never fight again? Then you're never going to be the same person that you were. You're not going to have that same quality of life. So I think that there's a point that a fighter goes to where he should stop fighting. I think that he was hurt. I don't think he was in the condition to continue and intelligently defend himself if he were to get up. I'm not saying he could have got up. I don't know if he could have got up. But all I know is one thing. He looked like he was in excruciating pain. It wasn't like that Malik Scott where that phantom punch landed on Malik Scott. Malik Scott's looking up at Wilder like this. Did I do it right?
Uh-oh.
It wasn't the same thing. He was hurt. So I don't think he's a quitter. But sometimes when a fighter changes a trainer, it kind of gives me, and again, this is my opinion, it's almost like the impression that he feels as though he lost because he had the wrong trainer in there, and he's not fully taking ownership of the loss himself. Possibly he didn't do what he needed to do, or possibly we have to give Joyce credit because I thought he looked great in that fight. I've never seen him look as good as he did in that fight in any other fight. So I know you hate to hear that, but I have to say it.
Like all he did was this. So go ahead.
That was one of the best jabs I've ever seen in my life. But again, that's what I don't like. After a loss, you immediately change trainers. It's like you're blaming the trainer for the loss, and you're not taking ownership of the loss yourself. So we'll see. Time will only tell if it's the right decision. But if you ask me, do I like the move? No, I don't like the move because I don't think. I mean, he was winning the fight. He was up on the score. I had him up on the scorecards before he got stopped. So apparently, if he didn't break his orbital bone and he lasted a couple more rounds, he would have won the fight. He was way ahead on the scorecards. So I don't think the game plan was bad. I just think he got caught, with the right punch at the right time in the wrong spot. And as a result, he could not continue. So is that the trainer's fault? I don't think so. So I'm not a fan of the move. I'm not a big fan of the move.
Hey, really quick, Beep, because we had the Flaca here, and she told everybody, hey, and Nery is at the strip club at 3 a.m, and yada, yada, yada. And then next I hear is he's gone from the camp. He's no longer with Reynoso. Any quick thoughts on that?
I don't like that.
Did he leave or did he get fired? What do you think? Or not fired, but you know what I mean? Like, did he get kicked out?
Apparently, I would suspect that there may have been a breakdown between the two parties, and maybe they could no longer work together. But if I'm Nery, I don't think I could get any better than a Reynoso. Who else is gonna? What other trainer out there could he get better than Reynoso that will stick with him and train him at this point? Because hasn't he gone through the gambit when it comes to trainers? Who else is there left for him to turn to? Right. So I don't know. I don't know if he left or if they left him. I don't know the situation, but I don't think it's a good move for him. I think it's bad for him. I don't I think he would do well to stay with Reynoso if he could. So that's not a good move.
All right. Sasha, back to Daniel Dubois. What do you make of him switching trainers, if anything? And what do you make of him saying he's on a mission to prove that he's not a quitter?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he did quit. I think he was right to do so. He's possibly saved his career by taking a knee. So, yeah, I don't think he quit. I think he was right to do so. Switching train, I don't know how he was up on the scorecards. I had Joyce up. As painful as Joyce is to watch, I had him up on the scorecard. I don't think Dubois had done a lot. I think right from the beginning, he looked very nervous. He looked robotic. His head movement was very poor. So switching trainers, possibly. Like you say, time will only tell. I mean, he's been with his last trainer since he turned pro. He's got a lot to learn still. So it might be good to have, a new trainer, like a fresh start in a way, because I think Dubois got a lot to learn. I think there's, in a way, a long road back for him. I think confidence-wise, it's going to take him a while to get over that Joyce loss. But yeah, I think for me, I think possibly, I understand what you're saying about, when he changed trains, it looks like, they aren't taking responsibility. And hopefully he has, because he's not going to make them improvements. He does need to take responsibility. I don't think he was good enough on the night. It was his fight to win, in my opinion. I thought he would win, and I thought he'd get the early stoppage. But Joyce and that jab obviously took a toll on him. But I think if Dubois' head movement was a little bit better, his defense was better, then that wouldn't have happened. So, maybe with a new trainer, he can obviously work on that.
Okay, right. D, what do you make of this news? Dubois switching trainers, is it a red flag to you? And what do you think of him, making that statement? I'm on a mission to prove I'm not a quitter.
I didn't have a problem with him taking a knee. I'm just in the mindset of people don't like to hear certain things, and this is to no one in particular, but I think that people don't like to hear certain things because it holds a negative connotation, such as like avoiding a fight versus ducking. They're the same thing. But if you say he avoided the fight, people are more willing to accept that than saying ducking, right? So if you say quit, like, come on, the reality is he could have got up. He didn't get up, so he quit. But we know there's a reason behind it, and I think it was the right decision. As far as the trainer goes, I don't think that's the problem. I don't mind them changing the trainer, because Lennox Lewis said you never know. It all depends on the fighter. Sometimes you can switch trainers and you'll be just fine because you're getting different instructions from different guys and you're taking all of that in, and it's based on the individual. I think the problem is Frank Warren. And I said this before the fight. I picked Joe Joyce to beat Dubois. Coincidentally, 10th round stoppage. Yep, hit that one, right? Here's the thing. Frank Warren never moved this kid the right way. You don't go from Ricardo Schneider's to Fuji Mojo to damn Joe Joyce. You don't do that. Ebenezer Tete he fought. Those are the 3 fights he fought before Joe Joyce. Tete, Ricardo Schneider's, and Fujimoto. No, sir. That doesn't get you prepared to get in there with a guy like Joe Joyce, who had faced Brian Jennings, a valid heavyweight, right? So Frank Warren was never moving this kid the right way. Daniel Dubois, in my opinion, has a problem as long as he stays with Frank Warren. That's who he needs to change. Get the hell away from Frank Warren. Sorry.
Ooh. Not the trainer, the promoter.
Get away from him.
But you have any thoughts on Nery? No longer with Reynoso? What do you make of it?
Nah, I don't. I'm not. Look, I've never been confident of Nery, and I believe that it's Nery. Nery had 2 decent trainers. He couldn't make it work out. He don't want to stay disciplined. And we know that Reynoso's a stickler for discipline. No surprise to me that didn't work out because Nery has a problem with discipline. I've never been confident of him. Aaron Alameda, a domestic level fighter, gave him a hell of a fight problem for 9 rounds straight. He circled him, he boxed him, and Nery should have completely washed a domestic level fighter. I've not been confident of him, and I think sometimes guys can get to the point where they're uncoachable. How many trainers are Nery going to go through, decent trainers, with no results? Now, is it the trainer or is it the fighter? I'm going to assume that it's Nery in this situation.
All right. Raider says, I told people 2 weeks ago Nery was leaving Eddie. I love that for Nery. He needs to be his old self. Eddie wants to train like everyone, the Canelo style. That doesn't work for everybody. So, I mean, there could be something to that. Chief Funky, talk to about Dubois, man. Switching trainers. What do you make of it? And what do you make of his statement saying, hey, I'm on a mission to prove I'm not a quitter?
Sorry about that. I had the mute button on, but yeah, that's a tough one with Dubois because I'm right there with Beeb. It's hard to say that these guys are quitters. Being everything that they give, training camps and going into fights and all that type of stuff. But he did choose to stop fighting. He did have a legit injury though. That eye was pretty bad, so only he knows how much pain he can handle, and it was just too much, and he had to just say, hey, live to fight another day. And, he's still young enough to where he can come back from this, I actually do kind of like the move of switching trainers because, I did pick Dubois to win this fight. And obviously I was wrong because I just felt like Joyce was just too damn slow, but Dubois couldn't get out of the way of that sledgehammer jab. So, I mean, maybe it is the part of the training. They didn't prepare because, this guy was just not moving his head at all. He's getting clubbed all night long with that thing. And, if you can't get out of the way of punches that are coming this low. You can't get out of the way of those dial-up speed jabs. Then, yeah, I think it might be time to find your head a little bit from those jabs,
G-Funky, let me tell you something. Don't estimate on Slow Joe, because Slow Joe is going to stop Alexander Usyk late. Remember, I said that to you.
I like what I've seen from him. I like what I've seen from Joe.
How's he done? He hasn't lost.
Joyce, done.
He hasn't even lost a fight.
When he gets in there with Joe Joyce, Chisora took his heart.
Come on now.
Respect Joe Joyce.
Hey, Chief Funky or Sasha, anything you guys want to add about the Nery thing?
I'll let the lady go first. I'm a gentleman.
I don't know.
What did you say? Sorry.
Well, Luis Nery, he's leaving Reynoso. Did you have any opinion about that?
No, just what the guys were saying again about discipline and things like that. You've got to look at the common problem, haven't you? If you're going through coach after coach after coach, it can't be everyone else. You're gonna have to sit and reflect and think it might be you. So yeah, I think he might be the problem there.
Sure, right. I agree. Chief Funky, what do you make of it, man?
Well, it's a tough one because Nery has had problems in the past with discipline. He's missed weight when he was at 118. He hasn't missed weight since he's moved to 122, but I kind of agree with what Raider said, and I see that a lot with the other guys that he's training. He wants to try to make everybody look like Canelo, but everybody's not Canelo. I think when guys come in that are already kind of proven themselves in their career and this is what they do, they switch trainers. I think it's better to just kind of add little stuff here and there, but not completely try to turn them around into something that they're not. I feel like that might be what's going on with Nery down there. So maybe he can go train. I don't know I forgot who his trainer was before Reynoso, but maybe a Robert Garcia or something like that. He can go train with those guys. They seem to get these guys in shape and with all the stuff that they do down there. So maybe that might be a good choice for him. But I think it's a combination of both things, for me.
Yeah, like, who else is going to leave, Reynoso?
Not
Valdez.
Valdez.
After Burchell eats him alive next week, like Godzilla's going to eat King Kong, you know what I mean? Like that. Once
Ain't
that
happening.
happens, it's a wrap. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. And I got Godzilla, by the way. All right, he's the A side. What has King Kong done? You know what I mean? Godzilla destroyed New York City, Tokyo. Well, what has King Kong done? He climbed the Empire State Building? That's it?
He scared people in the hotel, man.
Come on.
There's only one other person that I know that's picking Valdez. This guy Chacal from Mexico. He's picking Valdez.
This Mexican right here is rolling with him, baby. I see it happening.
Godzilla all day, Godzilla all day. Real quick, G-Funk, Godzilla or King Kong? Really quick.
Godzilla.
Okay. Beep.
Godzilla.
All right. D.
Godzilla.
All right. Sasha.
I'm gonna have to go King Kong.
Oh, come on.
Wow. Okay.
Gotta be different.
Go with the underdog. They're going to do something in the movie. Okay. What's going on to Maestro A? Celebrating his wedding over there, honeymoon, all that good stuff.
Congratulations. Congratulations, Emil Carr. Congratulations.
Congrats, Emil. Congrats.
That's a
I don't know
beautiful
what's
thing.
going on with Mr. Boxing 2 days losing his touch. They got Joyce stopping Usyk. He's losing his touch.
This Mr. Boxing today is a genius. He's a
Hey,
genius.
man.
If he says it, you might as well just put the bet slip in right now if he's saying it.
Let me tell you something. If you picking Joe Joyce over Usyk, you have not lost your mind. You're doing the right thing. Okay? People gotta respect Slow Joe. That is my nickname for him. Slow Joe.
How is Usyk going to prepare?
Shock the world, man.
Joe, you got to check the odds on that, man.
I'm going to
What's the line looking like?
You always talk about that D-style. You always talk about that, but here's what you forget.
I'm putting the trust fund on Joe. I'm putting the whole trust fund on Joe Joyce.
Dropping house on Joyce.
I think he's going to have to do a little more than this.
Taking a second mortgage out on the house and putting it on Joe Joyce.
Drop house on him, man. He's going to be the dog.
Hey, D-style,
Drop house.
Didn't you pick D-style, didn't you pick Daniel Dubois to beat Joe Joyce?
I did. Yes, I did.
I did too.
And he was beating me.
So, I mean,
I did too,
right,
but I was manipulated. I was manipulated.
Well,
Okay.
see, D-style, just like you thought Joe Joyce was going to win there, you just wait till he gets a hold of Usyk.
Okay.
You just wait.
Derek Chisora took
Daniel
Usyk's gold.
Dubois' orbital bone got broke. That was not part of Joyce's plan. It just happened to get broke. That's it.
What happens
He wasn't trying to break his orbital bone with a jab.
What happens if Usyk's orbital bone gets broke? With that guided missile of a jab.
I don't know. That's not a jab. It's like a hammer fist. It's not a jab.
Can't beat that jab.
Like,
No way to-
is that punch even legal? We gotta check that.
No way to time it. No way to time that jab.
Hey, not to put you on the spot, Sasha. So who do you have in that fight? Usyk, Joyce.
I would have always said Usyk, but after watching the Joe Joyce fight, Dubois, I'm gonna have to go Joyce. I'm gonna have to. And I think I wasn't impressed with Usyk either. Since he's become heavyweight, I've not been impressed by him whatsoever. I don't think it suits him. For me, I'm gonna have to say Joe Joyce, but he's painful to watch. I don't enjoy watching him. It's it'll be an interesting fight, and I don't think he'll stop him. I don't think he'll stop Usyk, but I think he'll win on points for sure.
Hey guys, he's too slow for Usyk.
He's not slow. He's methodical.
Okay.
There we go.
Hey,
I
D-style.
like that one.
We'll leave it at that.
Methodical.
D-style, I got a great recipe for crow stew, okay? So after the fight, I'm going to feed you a big bowl of that, okay? A big bowl of crow stew for you.
I feel bad for Usyk, man.
All right. Okay. Mr. Box today too said Usyk has slowed up just enough, and unlike the World Series of Boxing, this will be a 12 a long round, not 5. Joyce has had his moments in that World Series of boxing fight against
today.
Usyk.
Mr. Boxing today is just a he's a Rhodes Scholar.
But who won? Who won
He's
that
a
fight?
Rhodes Scholar. That was
Who
about
won?
15.
The only time
That
they
was
fought?
like 15 years ago.
Hey, do you remember when people were saying that about Vlasov and Beterbiev? Oh, that was an amateur fight. You know what I mean? Like,
15
yeah,
years,
mostly beat De La Hoya, but that was in the amateurs, though.
15 years ago.
Forrest always beat mostly in the amateurs. But that was the amateurs.
15 years ago, my sister used to be able to beat me up. Now I can edge her out on points.
Okay. There you go. Well, we're going to go back to the welterweights, but with the women. You know what I mean? The undisputed welterweight championship of the world. The rematch. Cecilia Brækhus did all the hard work. She collected all the belts. She did all the defenses, right?
Oh, God.
Nobody gives her any attention in the United States. Everybody that Brækhus, who's that? Brækhus, the WBC was still giving her the women's WBC belt. McCaskill wins one fight, gets all the belts, right? Just like that, with one fight, all the work Cecilia Brækhus did, and she gets hit in one fight, right? And the WBC makes her the first woman to have the men's WBC belt, like whatever that means, right?
That's
like
crazy.
they reward her like if she did all the hard work. You know what I mean? Well, you know what? That is disrespectful. That's what that is.
Okay?
That is disrespectful to do that to Cecilia Brækhus, the queen of 104 of the welterweight division in the women's side, and she's going to get her belts back. That's why she came back. Okay, she's coming back. She's getting her belts back. All right, and you know what? I thought she won the fight too. Right? You want to beat the champ, you got to take it from the champ. All right? But they robbed her. It was in U.S. soil, and they robbed her. That's what happened. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. Okay, Cecilia Brækhus. She's getting her belt back. Chief Funky, I know. You were right, yada, 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 about the first episode. But what do you think about the rematch? How's it going to go?
You're damn right I was right about that one. I told you that upset was going to happen. And guess what? All these excuses you're making for Brækhus right now, you're going to be making those same excuses after Valdez beats Berchelt, man. I'm telling you right now, you're underestimating that boy. But I think the kid's going to get her again, man. She's going to get her again. I don't think that Brækhus, his heart is in the game anymore. I think after that loss, the way that she was talking after that fight, she seems like a fighter that just wants to retire, go home, and enjoy her life. She spent a lot of time, did a lot of work. She's very celebrated in the sport. Nothing to be ashamed of. It's just, McCaskill, she had that hunger. She had that fire, baby. Like I told you was going to happen. And she's going to beat her again. That's what I think.
All right. Sasha, talk to us. Who's going to win the rematch?
Yeah, McCaskill's going to win, definitely. Yeah, I wasn't impressed by Brækhus at all in that fight. I don't think she won. I don't think she done a lot. I thought she looked a bit complacent. I don't think she looked like she went in there to win. I thought she was slower than normal. McCaskill was a lot hungrier. She was non-stop throwing punches. She was more aggressive. I think she's just going to do it all again. And Brækhus after that fight, she kind of made like a retirement speech. So I think for this, I think she's coming back for a bit of a payday that she deserves. She's done so much for women's boxing. She deserves, one last fight, hopefully to be paid well. But I don't see her winning. I think her time is gone. I think it's a shame. I think if she would have won that fight, we might have seen her and Katie Taylor fight. So I think that's a shame because that's now been and gone. But for me, McCaskill's going to win all day again.
Okay, all right. Beeb, talk to us. Who's going to win this fight?
McCaskill is going to win a clear, unanimous decision, even wider than last time. Again, when you have a fighter talking before and after the fight about retirement, and you have a fighter who's, as was said earlier, that looks complacent in there. She was outworked, out-hustled. She lost in every department that night, and I just don't think her heart's in it. Like G Funky said, I think she already has her plane tickets to Hawaii. She's ready to go on vacation. I think it's over. I just got to think it's over. And I will say this: she does deserve a ton of credit and respect. She had every single belt in that welterweight division. We can't take that away from her. We have to give her full props for that. Again, I would have liked to have seen her probably move up to 154 and have Clarissa Shields come down to 154 and have them fight. I thought that would have been an attractive fight. Katie Taylor, I don't know how that, maybe Kayla Taylor eventually would have moved up to 147, but at that point, I think, maybe Breakus would have been too old at that point by the time Katie Taylor got up to that weight. So I don't know if that would have happened right away. But like I said, I just think that every fighter has their time in the sun, and I think her time in the sun has passed, and now it's time to ride off into the sunset.
But the sun will rise again, though. Every time there's a sunset, what happens? What happens a couple hours later?
The sun will rise again, but it doesn't mean that same person will be under that sunlight. Could be a different person.
We're getting philosophical here at the round table.
It's called the changing of the guard.
Yeah. See now you're talking like a Bruce Lee fan, Beeb. I like
That's
it.
Right. Be water, my friend.
D. Jefferson, talk to us. Who's gonna win this fight?
Hey man, when you pass the torch, there's no takebacks, no Indian given. Okay? The torch has been passed, man.
This guy's a genius.
No more Indian. There's no Indian given when you pass the torch.
She's getting backies.
She has passed that torch, and it is there to stay.
No take back.
Pacquiao is going to win again.
No take back.
That's it. That's all I'm gonna say.
And Rocky Balboa came back after he lost to Clubber Lang. You know what I mean?
That's what happens in the movies, G-Funk, D-Style. This is real life, man.
But Mason Dixon beat him when he tried to come back the last time. You saw what happened.
Look, guys.
You lost to Mason Dixon. How do you lose to Mason Dixon?
Do y'all hear the disrespect? Am I the only one that's hearing this disrespect of Cecilia Breakus? Loses one fight, she's done. Never lied. Oh, that's it. She's done.
Done.
No. She wouldn't have come back if she wasn't ready. You know where Cecilia Breakus is at? Because I don't. You know what she's doing? She's training. She's getting ready. When Castillo's starting podcasts and doing a podcast show with Ramos all the time, always on social media. You know what I mean? She's going to get a different Cecilia this time. And Cecilia can make the adjustments to win the rematch. You know what I mean? She knows, okay, I can do this, I can switch it up, probably box a little more, not be as aggressive. And I don't think McCaskill couldn't mess with her. She just boxes her and just boxes circles around her. I just don't. So there's no reason to worry, Beeb. You're going to get Cecilia Breakus against, Katie Taylor. It's going to happen. All right? Because she's going to get her belts back. There's only one road.
Is that going to be another Xbox fight? Is that going to be another Xbox fight?
No, that's going to be a real fight. Cecilia Breakus wasn't supposed to lose that fight. You know that. Come on.
There is no it wasn't supposed to. It's what is and what will be. That's what it's all about.
Let me tell you something.
Nothing's promised in life. Nothing's promised in life.
Just add the K to the flu. That's all I'm going to say. Okay? That's all I'm going to say. Just do it. I'm telling you. I don't want to say it, but I kind of said it. Cecilia Breakus going to get her belts back. That's a promise.
Somebody get the fork. She's done.
She's all set.
Stop being disrespectful.
You're gonna be really accustomed to eating crow here in 2021, Betty.
You gotta learn from your mistakes. You gotta learn from your mistakes, Daniel son.
Look, it was a I feel like McCaskill had the performance of her life. And Cecilia Breakus just didn't have a good performance, and it was still close.
Wasn't close.
No.
She's going to be ready this time. Oh, yeah.
I honestly think that if Baracus wasn't accomplished as she was, she probably wouldn't get a rematch. I don't think that fight was close.
7 rounds to 3.
What are you talking about? I had Breakus winning the fight. What are you talking about?
You filled out your scorecard.
It wasn't close. What are you talking about?
You had your scorecard filled out before the bell even rang.
Mm-hmm.
Well, D-Star, I'll tell you this, bro. When you're 30 years old, right, the next time around, there's a good chance you do better. But when you're 40 years old, I ain't too sure. Because 40 in sports is like 50 these styles. She's out of there. Out of there.
She's like my age. She's like my age, 51. When I get out of bed and everything, I gotta go, put the Ben Gay on and stuff. That's what she's doing right now. That's what she's doing right now.
No. She didn't look that bad to me at all. Like I just think she had the wrong game plan. I think that's why she lost. And the judges were a little courteous, you know what I mean? But it's okay.
Those were the best judges I've ever seen.
These style, we know she's pretty, but we were talking about how bad she looked in the ring.
That's what I'm talking about too.
Let's keep it in context.
She's got a crush. He's got a crush on. He's got a crush on.
Cecilia's got her bags packed already.
So,
She got the
2 weeks
plane
ago,
tickets,
look at his wall, D. Look at his wall, D. He's got a poster in the back. Look at his wall. Look at his wall, D.
Cecilia Braxton. No, look, man. In all seriousness, man, I'm looking forward to that fight, and that's in the same card as Chocolatito Estrada, okay, versus El Gallo Estrada, I apologize, against Chocolatito, okay? So, hey.
hell of a fight card right there.
Yeah. I said
Good
Chocolatito Estrada.
Hey, did you guys hear that Vlasov popped positive for COVID?
Yeah.
Now that fight's off.
That's horrible. My heart's broken for Joe Smith Jr. My heart's broken.
Sucks, man.
Unbelievable, right?
I was so looking forward to that fight so bad. Oh my god.
Now Coleman Martinez is the headliner.
I think the worst part of this thing is that it happened right now. Like all the training and everything, and then boom, it happens the week of. That's got to be crushing.
Looks like Sasha dropped off there. If she comes back, I'll let her back in. Hey, what do you guys think of that fight, really quick? Estrada against Chocolatito. You know what I mean? Gonzalez. What do you guys think about that fight? Who's gonna win that fight?
That's the wrong Estrada to beat Chocolatito.
Okay.
That's it.
I actually like Estrada in that fight, to be honest with you. I think Chocolatito's. I didn't like how Chocolatito looked in his last fight. I think he's a little sharp worn, and I think Estrada looked really sharp. I think Estrada's going to win the rematch. I think he's looking a little sharper now, and I think Chocolatito's got a little bit of too many miles on him right now. So,
okay.
Hey Joe. We usually agree, but let me ask you this: who got dropped and who didn't?
What, in their last fight?
And their last fight was on the same card. Who got dropped and who didn't?
Who got the stoppage though? And who got the stoppage? And who went rounds with a guy who was getting like hit by a guy who was like basically a prospect, and he went and he struggled with them, to be honest with you.
No. I think you need to go rewatch that fight.
I think that same guy actually should have beaten Chocolatito. I thought he won that fight too. So
nah, he didn't win that fight. Stop.
Cuadras won that fight, in my opinion.
Cuadras won Francisco.
When he fought Chocolatito a couple years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Who do you got you fucking that fight? There we go.
All day, baby. I'm really anticipating this fight. I think it's going to be a good fight. First fight was good. This one is going to be even better because I think Chocolatito knows right now that this might be it for him. If he loses this time, he's going to be knocked off that little pedestal that he's still hanging on to. I still think he's a hell of a fighter. But I have a lot of friends from Nicaragua, so anytime their guy fights a Mexican, it's always a good time. I was hoping the pandemic would be over by then. Looks like it's probably still going to be well and alive by the time the fight comes, but I was hoping it'd be over so they could come over and we could have a good time watching it. But I'm still going to enjoy it, man, because I think it's going to be a great fight. And I got to go with my guy, man.
All right. Well, there you go. Hey, guys, let's talk about Saul Canelo Alvarez. He'll be fighting Yildirim. I think we could all agree he's going to win that fight, right? So more than likely. You never know, of course. We just talked about a big upset earlier today in Douglas Tyson, so you never know. But I think it's safe to say we all agree Canelo will win that fight. But who would you like to see Canelo fight? In May when he fights again, more than likely. I know it sounds like it might be Billy Joe, and that might be your fight. But if you could pick, who would you like to see Canelo fight next? Go ahead, D.
If I could pick, I would much rather him fight Caleb Plant next because I don't trust the PBC and Caleb Plant being the last piece to that puzzle. I don't trust it. So I would rather him fight Caleb Plant in May and BJS be the last piece to that puzzle because it's on the zone. It's easier. They're easier to work with. If they tell you they're going to do something, they're going to do it. It's not going to be any last minute foolery at the end when the fight's supposed to happen. And I just really don't trust Caleb Plant being the last piece to that puzzle. So I would much rather be Caleb Plant in May and then BJS in September if it was my choice.
Okay, all right. What about you, G Funky?
Man, I was gonna say Billy Joe Saunders because I like the style matchup. I think Billy Joe can bring some problems with his leg movement and the southpaw stance to Canelo. We know that movement is a thing that gives Canelo the most trouble when he has to go and chase guys down. He hasn't had an opponent like that in quite some time. So I'm very interested to see how he would do against that. But D, you made a great point right now, man. Man, the PBC might try to do some funny stuff, man, if they wait on that. So, man, I think you kind of changed my mind there with that one, man. That's a good point you made.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Beeb, tell us.
Well, this fight that I would love to see happen is very highly unlikely, but I would love to see David Benavidez fight Canelo.
Yeah,
not saying he deserves it right now at this point, but I would still love to see him fight him. I think David Benavidez, in my opinion, is the best fighter in that division, with all due respect to Canelo. But I think that's the most intriguing fight, in my opinion, that I would love to see.
Oh wow. Okay. All right.
Yeah, I'm a big David Benavidez fan.
Challenge says Billy Joe Saunders going to get arrested or something before the fight. Always something with that dude. Canelo snatches the soul if that fight happens. You know what's interesting about this whole thing, and I think it'll give us an opportunity to kind of talk about this. Joe, I know you had a lot to say about the PBC fighters and how it seems like they can never seem to, at least with the big names, make the fights happen, with other networks. Do you believe we will see Canelo become undisputed in 2021, or will a fight with Plant not happen?
Given the history, I think it may not happen, to be perfectly honest with you, because let's look at the history. Gervonta Davis never fought Lomachenko. Jamal Charlo never fought Golovkin or Canelo. Wilder never fought Joshua. Plant had an offer to fight Canelo. That fight never happened.
Twice.
Again, I'm not saying that it's just the PBC that does this, but it's mostly the PBC. It's like a pattern. It's a pattern over there where these guys just don't, for whatever reason, there's always an excuse why the big fights can't happen. Errol Spence, Terrence Crawford, there's another one. I mean, this is going beyond coincidental at this point. Fury beats Wilder, becomes a WBC champion. Immediately, he's getting ready to fight Joshua. There's no BS. There's no procrastination. The fights just happen. Canelo, he has no problem taking on tough opponents, fighting good, tough fighters. Crawford's been calling out those PBC guys for years. And for whatever reason, now Porter had an offer on the table. Now he doesn't want to fight Crawford. There's always a reason why. So, given the empirical data and the track record and the history of the PBC, I don't feel very confident at all that Canelo can unify the belts. But here's one thing he has in his favor. He's such a big name. He's such a draw. He's the biggest money fight out there that you would think that, yeah, okay, let's get this fight done. But it was the same situation with Wilder, the biggest money fight out there. He openly admitted, I took a Fury fight for less money instead of fighting Joshua. So these guys are you know, it's not even when you think about it, it's not even a risk for reward thing with these guys anymore because they just want low risk. They just want low risk now, it seems to me. So and even Bob Arum said he was on the 3 Knockdown Rule podcast. He's been interviewed by Steve Kim and Mario Lopez, and he said he was talking to Al Heyman about the Spence Crawford fight, and Al was all for it. He was behind it. But Spence is the one that has to agree to the fight, and he doesn't seem to be willing to do that at this point. So we want to blame the networks, we want to blame Al Heyman, we want to blame the promoters, but let's hold these fighters accountable. Let's put the onus on them. They're the ones not signing the contracts, and then you got fighters openly saying that I'm turning this fight down, and I'm taking another fight for less money. You just told on yourself. So what are we supposed to believe now? So this has been a pattern. Same thing with Rigondeaux. Remember when Rigondeaux was with Top Rank? None of those guys, Leo Santa Cruz, Abner Mares, none of them would fight him. None of them would fight him. So again, it's a pattern. Same thing with Floyd. Floyd had to wait for Pacquiao to lose to Bradley and get knocked out by Marquez before he fought him. If those things didn't happen, who knows if that fight would have taken place? We don't know. So
we don't know.
It is what it is, man.
Yep. Good points. Well, you guys have anything you want to add to that, D or G Funky?
No, yeah, I do kind of. I think that we may get a situation here where it may depend on Canelo Alvarez. Here's why I say that. So we know the difficulties that Alvarez had while he was locked up with Golden Boy and DAZN and making fights. But he has a different situation here. And why I think it may depend on Canelo Alvarez, because the issue, I think, is that the PBC will probably try to lock him into a multiple fight deal, not just get Plant, where they say, okay, well, you can have Plant, but we need you to fight whoever also, right? If Canelo takes that, basically, and I think that he should, because you just did a 2-fight deal with DAZN. This would be a 2-fight deal, but it would incumbent 4-belt undisputed. So I believe that he should take the deal, but I think that it may come down to something like that, because I don't think PBC is going to give him a one and done. They're too greedy. They're going to want Canelo's going to make money for him, so they're going to want to lock him into a multiple fight deal. So if he should take that, I think we have a better chance of getting it, because of course he'll have Plant written in, right? If he decides, no, I'm not going to lock myself into any kind of agreement with you guys, we may not get it. And I wouldn't blame him for not locking himself into an agreement with them, because look what happened to Manny. He was supposed to get Floyd. Did it happen? So, I mean, look, man, I think that's what it may come down to.
Right. Anything you want to add, Chief Funky?
Man, this is good stuff from both D and Joe. I agree with just about everything, and PBC I think they already tried to do that offer to Canelo before the Smith fight. They offered him, I think it was like 3 fights or something like that, and one of them was at a catchweight with Charlo, which it's not a good fight. I don't like catchweights. Don't like them. Never been a fan of them. I spoke out against Canelo when he had all those catchweight fights, 155. I spoke out against the fight with Mayweather when that was a catchweight. So, I mean, I'm not a catchweight guy. So, yeah, I don't think that I agree with D. If they're going to get him, it's going to be a multi-fight thing. It's not going to be a one-time fight. That's just the way that they do. That's just the way that they do things, man.
Okay. Look, man. I see. M Stacks, you're saying about. I understand you're being sarcastic. Bob Arum has never held up a fight ever. I don't think anybody's saying that. Like, I don't. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I'll say it.
All right. Well, what do you want to say, D?
Bob most certainly held up fights. Let me tell you something, man. Bob Arum and Don King, I don't know what your age is M Stacks. Bob Arum and Don King were the master of marinating fights, putting them off, delaying them, holding them back. Right? The master of it. Don't think for 1 second he doesn't employ that in today's boxing. Do you understand and see how Bob is always pointing the finger at someone else, another promoter? The fighter doesn't want to do this. You guys think that he's literally that powerless as the most powerful man in boxing? Don't buy it. He definitely holds up fights because sometimes financially fights need to be held up, whether the fans like it or not. That's just the state of boxing. Sometimes fights for financial reasons need to be held up. And Bob's going to hold him up because he's probably, in my opinion, the greediest damn promoter in the game. So he will hold fights up. Yes, sir. Yes, he will.
Well, actually, BP, I'm sorry, D, he was being sarcastic. Like,
oh, my bad. I just, I never know if they're serious.
Because he also said, since we're talking bullshit. But here's what I wanted to say really quick. Because I know he's saying, well, tell Beeb. I'll let Beeb respond, but let me just say this first. Look, they all do it, okay? All promoters, all networks do bullshit because they're in it to make money, okay? No one is denying that, but there is a slight difference between Al Heyman and the way he does things and the way Bob Arum does things, okay? A slight difference. All right, so I would argue that Bob Arum and any other promoter, like a licensed promoter, okay, that is running the ship has an incentive, okay, to sell to the networks and to sell to the people good fights at the very least, because that's what makes their product and their brand their brand. Whereas, and I'm not even knocking them for this, Al Heyman runs the ship at PBC. He's a de facto promoter. Okay. I understand he hires other promoters to be the promoter, but he's the promoter. Okay. And he looks out for the fighter and he gets them paid, but like to fight nobodies. All right. And now we're seeing guys getting paid off of their potential and not what they've actually done. That's how they're paying Haney. Haney's getting paid based off his potential, not what he's actually done. And it's hurting the sport. All right? Look, and look, don't get me wrong. If you're a fighter and they're going to pay you off your potential, get your money. I'm not stopping guys from getting their money. But way too many fighters are getting paid off their potential. What they might be in the future, right? The Zone was dropping money on guys for potentially getting a return on the investment at some point. Bob Arum doesn't work that way. You'll get paid. But Teofimo Lopez had to fight to get a big payday against Lomachenko. He had to fight for that. His own promoter was saying, I'm not going to lose money just because Teofimo Lopez wants to make more money. He publicly says Crawford ain't making him money. He wants to make a profit off of the fights that he makes. Now, that's an opposite problem for Arum that I think he should invest a little more, right? But that's all I wanted to say about that. Like, PBC invests a lot. Therefore, it takes forever for fights to happen, guys. If PBC had Lomachenko and Theo, they still wouldn't have fought. It still wouldn't have been a fight. I don't believe they would have fought. I just don't.
The problem with the PBC is, just like you said, there's no incentive for them to take tough fights because they get paid the same for taking easier fights. Where, as you just said, Bob will not pay the fighters big money to take on easy fights. So they have to fight the big fights in order to make the big dollars. Of course, all promoters are guilty of stopping fights. When Bob had all the welterweights, when he had Claudy, when he had Margarito, when he had Pacquiao, when he had Cotto, when he had Marquez, when he had Bradley, he did all in-house fights. No one's denying that. But again, those guys fought each other. These PBC guys, like Thurman, wouldn't even fight Spence. He wouldn't even fight Spence. You know, and again, when you look at what's going on right now, it's more than a coincidence. And if you look at the history of Bob Arum hated Don King, but when there was a big fight to be made, when a fight needed to get done, he always got it done. When Marquez was a golden boy fighter and Pacquiao was a top ranked fighter, he made the fight. De La Hoya Trinidad, when Trinidad was with Don King and De La Hoya was with Bob, they made the fight. Bob has no. If the fight is big enough, Bob will make it, regardless of who the promoter is. These PBC fight guys are turning down the biggest money fights. Like, you mean to tell me that Crawford Spence isn't a huge money fight? You mean to tell me that Joshua versus Wilder wasn't a huge money fight? Like, when a fight gets to a certain size and gets big enough, Bob is going to make that fight. He's going to do whatever he can to make that fight, because Bob is about making the biggest events, whereas these PBC fighters are about protecting their best interests. A manager is there to protect the fighter. A promoter is there to put on the best possible events. There is a different mentality. I mean, it's you have to just admit that. So when you got a guy like Al Heyman who is saying, here's a list of opponents, gives you a list of 3 or 4 guys, and you're going to get paid the same to fight no matter which guy you fight. Of course, the fighter's going to take the easiest fight. I don't blame him for doing that, but I'm just pointing it out. We have to look at the data here.
Absolutely.
It's irrefutable. It's irrefutable.
Yeah.
Crawford wanted to fight Porter. He wanted to fight Spence. They won't fight him. Both of them said no. What's he going to do?
Yeah, I agree 100%. Hey, guys, this has been a great show. I put the interview that Sasha did with Jonas in the chat, so you guys could go ahead and check that out and support her content. I think her internet gave out because she was cutting off a little bit before that happened. So shout out to her, and we hope to have her back in the future. Have more guests lined up for the future episodes, all that good stuff. A lot of late cancellations for this roundtable, but it's all good. We understand life happens. All right. D. Jefferson, give us some final thoughts, brother.
Hey, man, appreciate you guys having me on. Always, I love coming to this panel. My panel is quite chaotic. So this is much more enjoyable. Love it. I'm telling you, I literally enjoy talking on your guys' panel more than I do my own, because it gets kind of chaotic over there. So I always appreciate you, bro.
Most definitely. Chief Funky, give us some final thoughts, brother.
Yeah, man, this is great stuff, man. The round table is always cool because we get, different perspectives, different opinions, and that's always a good thing, man. We can't always agree on stuff, and it just makes you think. I changed my mind a couple times listening to these guys here talk about certain things, and that's a good thing, man. We just got to keep it respectful at all times. This way, we could all get the stuff that we need to get out there, and then the people that are listening can do the same. So shout out to everyone on the panel, man. Let's keep this thing rolling, man, and shout out to everybody watching.
Hey, I wanted to say something, G Funky and D Style, man. I just wanted to say shout out to both of you guys, because I feel like you handled that situation. You guys handled the situation on G Funky's live very well. Very well. It got out of control, but you guys did a really good job with that.
That was hilarious yesterday. I loved it.
Well,
thank you, D. Appreciate that, man.
That was a good show, man.
Yeah, it was great. It was great.
I had to get peeled off the floor. I was laughing so hard.
Joe, give us some final thoughts, brother.
Gotta say, man, I look forward to this every Thursday, because I don't know who's going to be here, and it's always a pleasant surprise to see a new face on here and get a different point of view. And that's the beautiful thing. You see so many other channels, so many other podcasts, and like D said, when I go on other channels and I see setups like this, all I hear is people screaming and yelling at each other, getting mad. It's so they bring their feelings to the table instead of just talking about what they know and just giving their opinion. It's not about giving their opinion over there. It's just about arguing and discrediting each other. And I don't feel that we ever do that here. We may disagree, and that's fine, but we don't attack each other. We don't get upset about it. We don't cry. We don't have people that like saying, "I'm not mad." People don't do that over here. So that's what I like about coming over here. This is turning into one of my favorite shows to do every week. It's like a coin flip between this and Sunday. I mean, I love Eric. I love my co-host Eric too. I think we have a good show there. So I love this show as equally as much as I like the show on Sunday now, to be honest with you.
Yeah, most definitely. You know what we're missing? We're just definitely missing that packed house. We didn't have a packed house today. But that's okay, though. I still think we had a great show. And we have some guests for next week. I think you guys will like it. All right? This is D-Style Boxing. Keep it boxing. We're out of here. Peace.